try to find your pulse and then repine at the results. I've even got my windowsills lined up with ultraviolet bulbs, shrunken shrines of human skulls and other signs of the occult. But now I'm at a fucking loss, cause honey, nothing seems to work. Like I've been astrally projecting my body beyond my dreams through the fabric of space and time, so you could spot me at the seams. I ventured through the upside down, hoping you caught me in between. But maybe if you've got the tech, then you could haunt me on my screens. Like you should infiltrate my newsfeed. I swear no one would notice. You could float beside some bogus BuzzFeed quiz about the POTUS. Be a pixelated phantom ghost on clickbait propaganda posts and dictate what you're thinking through a catchy headline. Like one weird reason why it's great to be ethereal, or 20 signs you're dead now and your soul is immaterial. Or if it's late at night, then you could swoop in from the shadow realm and talk to me through pop-up ads that show up over adult films on anything you're into. We could start with male for facial. You could beam your interspatial spirit into interracial. If you're feeling sort of formal, we could pizza date on Skype, and I could call it corner over and we could share the corner slice. When it's time to go to bed, then we could leave our cameras on. And if the netherworld has one day shipping free on Amazon, then you could slumber as you ship yourself. I swear the shit delivers quick. Or send me the address and I could meet you by the river Styx. On Twitter beef with Namtar by the Tigris and Euphrates. I could snap you while I'm snagging sacred threads of life from Hades. I would loot, do odd, and photocopy pirate the papyrus, change the records and then have a Facebook flame war with Osiris. And either way, I can't wait to talk or reunite. I've been so lonely since you died, I've tried to walk towards the light. And if the gods of death oppose our harmless want to reconvene, then maybe we could sneak you by him if you haunt me through a screen. It's been far too long. You could rectify that if you haunt me through my phone. No, I don't wanna deal with voodoo dolls and figurines. I could do without them if you'd haunt me through my screen. I'm just frustrated, I guess. I've hung out in countless graveyards, drawn pentagrams and slaughtered goats, and even took a course on hunting ghosts from Pentecostal folks, but never once have gotten close. Last month I sat with local psychics and their crystal jewels and tried to find my old T-Mobile sidekick phone from middle school. Just so maybe if you're bored of fortune-telling tarot cards and magic words, then you could tweet 140 characters, so I could throw away my voodoo dolls and stop chanting my juju mantras that my guru taught us. And if you slide into some YouTube comments, you could scroll the comment page or you could leave it blank. If your specter is perceptible, we tell them it's a prank. And if you still don't send responses, I'd assume the problem's technical, and I would call Verizon just so someone could inspect it all. I'd tell him I just want a close encounter of the spectral kind. He'd ask if we turned on our modem router for a second time and plugged it incorrectly to the voltage power socket line and tried to tear a portal hole through to your paranormal soul so me and you could catch up on a toll-free spirit mortal call. Or we could see a witch doctor. She'd probably be skeptical. Clinician with a stethoscope, the specimen not skeletal, the symptoms metaphysical, the convalescent soulless. At first her diagnosis could be we should try hypnosis, but truthfully, if you could choose the way that you're reborn, I hope you use the 3G phone and you eschew the Ouija board. And at this point, I don't really know why I learned ESP4 when you could just descend and settle in my USB port or my NVIDIA GeForce or my video AV cord. There's no need for Santa Muerte when I've got a QWERTY keyboard. We could play a game of esports, you and I'd be on a team. And if you're feeling odious, I'll put my audio on stream. I'll still have your favorite games, babe, I've got them all on Steam. We'll get started when you're ready once you haunt me through a screen. It's been far too long that you and I have been alone. You could rectify that if you haunt me through my phone. No, I don't wanna deal with voodoo dolls and figurines. I could do without them if you'd haunt me through my screen.
So as per usual, I am struggling with the Spotify thing. I'm gonna get it figured out eventually so that we can actually credit some artists. We're using Chill Hop tonight, so everything is working out the way it's supposed to. I'm clicking the wrong one. That's what that explains that. Ba ba ba. Hell yeah. There we go. Hi! It's really nice to see everybody. Hello. Let me just get into place. Get comfortable. I'm so excited to read these over with you guys. Hey, Bandit, welcome. I think this is your first Tall Tale Tuesday. Welcome. Oh, and of course, Spotify isn't working here either. Ah. Sounds good. Yeah, let's just remove Spotify. So Tall Tale Tuesdays is a segment I do every Tuesday where I get to talk about my absolute favorite things stories. Well, not exactly. They are stories. Fairy tales are considered tall tales. So a tall tale is mostly like sharing a story that isn't quite true. Loon? Right? Or spinning a yarn is another phrase for it. Oh, I actually set up announcements. I haven't put them on yet, but I do have them set up, which is exciting. Yeah. I'm slowly figuring things out. Let's also get the story set up. I get it. Real life stories from people that die and such. Sort of. Think about like a tall tale as if like someone caught a fish. But when they say they caught the fish, they caught the biggest fish. The wildest, largest fish. Right? Or I could tell the story of Cinderella, where maybe there once was a young girl who was in a coma and that was kissed and was brought back to life. Right? But there wasn't actually a spell involved. But the stories changed so much over the years that it's now fallen into this thing. Fishing is boring. It's why you gotta elaborate. You gotta be like, and it fought me and it pulled me all around the lake. Stickers aren't on. Uh-oh. I'll have to fix that. Ba, 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 ba. I don't think that shows any information that I'm uncomfortable with. We're gonna crop out that whole top part though before we really get started here. Ooh. There, now that's where that's supposed to be. Hit F11 on my keyboard. What's hitting F11 gonna... Oh, damn. You're so cool, dude. You're so cool and neat. You know that? You're so cool. Oh, I'm so excited to read these with you guys. So these are scary stories to read in the dark. So we will get some atmosphere music going. I'll go get some campfire music. There we go. Let's turn off the music. The ambience is too quiet. Can you guys really even hear that? Already freaked out? Yeah, it is quiet. Let's find a different one because I can... Oh, maybe that it might be my settings. There we go. There, that's a little better. Now we got some spooky stuff going on. You guys hear me all right? Bandit, you have to quiet your booty down. My guy. We got work to do here, and your booty's too loud. So, first and foremost, everybody, happy Halloween. Go. We're just gonna open up the stream on my other monitor, so I can keep a proper eye on you, scallywags. And I'll fix the sticker thing. I know I have sound alerts turned off on this one. Yeah, you and Luna are very slippery, I agree. I gotta keep my eye on you two.
Wow!
So I could definitely hear the noise alerts. A second, I'm just grabbing the stickers from over here really quick. You guys saw nothing. There we go. So now the stickers should work just fine. Okay. I'm just gonna get settled back in my chair, pull up my book, and we're gonna get reading. So, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark was one of my very first horror stories. It's the very first one I ever encountered. I wasn't really allowed a lot of horror when I was a kid. So these stories mean a little bit to me because I read them all and then with my overactive imagination, terrified myself. I was so scared. Like staying up super late. Yeah! Jerk, it scared me. There we go. Thank you for the stupor loon. Stupor sticker. And of course, all of these stories have these beautiful pieces. Just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous ink illustrations. So the very first story we're going to be starting off with tonight is The Big Toe. A boy was digging at the edge of the garden when he saw a big toe. He tried to pick it up, but it was stuck to something. So he gave it a good, hard jerk, and it came off in his hand. Then he heard something groan and scamper away. The boy took the toe into the kitchen and showed it to his mother. "It looks nice and plump," she said. "I'll put it in the soup and we'll have it for supper." That night, his father carved the toe into 3 pieces, and they each had a piece. Then they did the dishes, and when it got dark, they went to bed. The boy fell asleep almost at once, but in the middle of the night, a sound awakened him. It was something out in the street. It was a voice, and it was calling to him. "Where is my toe?" it groaned. When the boy heard that, he got very scared, but he thought, "It doesn't know where I am. It'll never find me." Then he heard the voice once more, only now it was closer. "Where is my toe?" it groaned. The boy pulled the blanket over his head and closed his eyes. "I'll go to sleep," he thought. "When I wake up, it will be gone." But soon he heard the back door open, and again he heard the voice. "Where is my toe?" it groaned. Then the boy heard footsteps move through the kitchen, into the dining room, into the living room, into the front hall. Then slowly they climbed the stairs. Closer and closer they came. Soon they were in the upstairs hall. Now, outside his door. "Where is my toe?" The voice groaned. His door opened. Shaking with fear, he listened as footsteps slowly moved through the dark towards his bed. Then he stopped. "Where is my toe?" the voice groaned. "You've got it!" And that's the story! Yeah, big slurp, big toe slurp. This one's been retold so many different times in so many different ways. I've heard this story told as like a big potato, and later it's found out to be a big toe. The fact they just knew. Damn, bro, don't lose your toe in the first place. Finders keepers. Yeah, I know. Lose your toe, it becomes dinner. A lot of these stories were told back in pioneer times as well. So, like, you find meat, dude. You gotta eat. Wonder if they kept the... Yeah, I think that they also... You know what? You need that carrot. You gotta get that keratin from somewhere. Also, hello, Shy Shy Boy. I saw you pop in, but I was mid-sentence. You know what? That's super valid. But have you seen a naked hoof? I need you to know that you also have toes and that they are also horrifying. Your toes are nightmare fuel. Oh! Sorry, I didn't read this part. This is exciting. The big toe has another ending. When the boy hears the voice calling for his toe, he finds a strange-looking creature up inside the chimney. The boy is so frightened he can't move. He just stands there and stares at it. Finally, he asks, "Well, what got such big eyes for?" And the creature answers, "To look you through and through." "Well, what got such big claws for?" "To scratch up your grave." "Well, what got such big mouth for?" "To swallow you whole." "Well, what got such sharp teeth for?" "To chop your bones." It says like to pound. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, jump on you guys? Very Red Riding Hood. I don't think Red Riding Hood ate the wolf's foot. We could. We might do some Halloween drawings. I even have a Halloween Fabi outfit that I designed that I was thinking we could draw later. I designed myself another outfit to change into. Yeah. Do. The next one that we have going is the walk. Bum, bum, bum. My uncle was walking down a lonely dirt road one day. He came upon a man. You could do the male monster voice, Bandit. So he came upon a man who also was walking down that road. The man looked at my uncle, and my uncle looked at that man. The man was scared of my uncle, and my uncle was scared of that man. But they kept on walking, and it began to get dark. The man looked at my uncle, and my uncle looked at the man. The man was very scared of my uncle, and my uncle was very scared of that man. But they kept on walking, and they came to a big woods. It was getting darker, and the man looked at my uncle, and my uncle looked at that man. The man was really scared of my uncle, and my uncle worked at Nintendo. And my uncle was really scared of that man. But they kept on walking, and deep down in the woods they went. It was getting darker, and the man looked at my uncle, and my uncle looked at the man. The man was terribly scared of my uncle, and my uncle was terribly scared of... Ah! Guys, get you? Was that scary? Did I get you guys? I'm judging by the lack of chat movement that you guys are so scared you ran away from your keyboards. That I scared you so bad. Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm super scary. I'm gonna jump a bit ahead in the stories because all of these are jump stories. There we go. The Thing. It's a great one. Yeah. I'm sorry I made you cry. I'm sorry. I don't want to be that scary. The Thing, yeah, it was an okay movie. So it was okay. Solid, it was a movie. Ted Martin and Sam Miller were good friends. They spent a lot of time together. On this particular night, they were sitting on a fence near the post office talking about one thing or another. There was a field of turnips across the road. Suddenly, they saw something crawl out of the field and stand up. It looked like a man, but in the dark, it was too hard to tell for sure. Then, it was gone. But soon it... Oh my god! It's my job to scare you guys! Hey! But soon it appeared again. It walked halfway across the road, then it turned around and went back into the field. Then it came out a third time and started towards them. By now, Ted and Sam were scared, and they started running. But when they finally stopped, they decided they were being foolish. They weren't sure what had scared them, so they decided to go back and get a better look. Pretty soon they saw it, for it was coming to meet them. It was wearing black pants, a white shirt, and black suspenders. Sam said, "I'm going to try and touch it. Then we'll know it's real." He walked up to it and peered into its face. It had bright, penetrating eyes sunk deep into its head. It looked like a skeleton. There we go. Ted took one look and screamed, and again he and Sam ran, but this time the skeleton followed them. When they got to Ted's house, they stood in the doorway and watched it. It stayed out in the road for a while, and then it disappeared. A year later, Ted got sick and died. Towards the end, Sam sat up with him every night. The night Ted died, Sam said he looked just like the skeleton. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Scary. Now, a lot of these are meant for younger kids, but I find that there's a bit of a charm in that because they still have that innocence in them. What was that? Excuse me? Excuse me? Cold as clay. A farmer had a daughter for whom he cared more than anything. Whoa, I can read. I'm really good at reading. It's like I wanted to do this, and I'm very, very, very good at reading. Oh, 100%. 100%. And as a dyslexic kid who, like, I had to focus on these stories, I got super scared. I got it. It was bad. Even now, I have a hard time playing scary video games, which will be fun because I was actually thinking about playing Little Nightmares with you guys tonight. So we'll see. We'll see how far I could get. But I get into it. Just punch the monster. Maybe. Could do other stuff with the monster too, but like, who knows? Depends. Is the monster cute? Just let me know in the comments. So I can't keep a straight face. Is the monster cute though, bro? Does he have a cell phone number? Can you give it to me? It might help. It might help. I'm also 6 foot. I'm a big lady. So I'm also 6 foot, but I don't like punching people. It makes me sad. All right, here we go. Cold as clay. A farmer had a daughter for whom he cared for more than anything on earth. She fell in love with a farmhand named Jim. But the farmer did not think Jim was good enough for his daughter. To keep them apart, he sent her to live with her uncle on the other side of the country. Sometimes monsters can be people too, Bandit. Think about that. Think about that. Soon after she left, Jim got sick, and he wasted away and died. Everyone said he died of a broken heart. The farmer felt so guilty about Jim's death, he could not tell his daughter what happened. So she continued to think about Jim and the life they might have had together. One night, many weeks later, there was a knock on her uncle's door. When the girl opened the door, Jim was standing there. "My father asked me to get you," he said. "I came on his best horse." She packed a few things and they left. She rode behind him, clinging to his waist. Soon he complained of a headache. "It aches something terrible," he told her. She put her hand on his forehead. "Why? You are as cold as clay," she said. "I hope you are not ill." She wrapped her handkerchief around his head. They traveled so swiftly that in a few hours they reached the farm. The girl quickly dismounted and knocked on the door. Her father was startled to see her. "Didn't you send for me?" she asked. "No, I didn't," he said. He turned to Jim, but he was gone, and so was the horse. They went to the stable to look for them. The horse was there. It was covered with sweat and trembling with fear, but there was no sign of Jim. Terrified, her father told her the truth of Jim's death. Then quickly he went to see Jim's parents. They decided to open his grave. The corpse was in its coffin, but around its head they found a girl's handkerchief. Bum, bum, bum! Thank you. I think so too. I think tall girls are pretty sick, if I do say so myself. So are short girls. Short girls are also the best. Same with short boys. I like some short men. Also giant tall men are also best. Yeah. So I think all of those are very good and best. Zebras are also best. Yes. Absolutely. Attractive people come in all shapes and sizes. Absolutely. Sorry, I agreed with you so hard. I broke my mic. No, Bandit, you're on that list. Zebras are also good and best. Ooh. The White Wolf. This was one of my favorite stories to retell as a kid because we lived out in the forest. We lived out in the bush. So I loved retelling this story because wolves were something that was like a constant. We knew about wolves. Wolves were there and present. So it was very exciting to tell this story and actually get people's goats. It was very fun. The timber wolves around French Creek had gotten out of hand. There were so many wolves, the farmers could not stop them from killing their cattle and sheep. So the state put a bounty on them. It would pay a hunter $10 for every wolf pelt he turned in. Ah! Tutu Shy Boy again! Again! Ah! Oh! Oh, that's too funny. Here we go. A butcher in town named William named Bill Williams thought he was thought that was pretty good money. He stopped working as a butcher and started killing wolves. He was good at it. Every year he killed over 500 of them. That came to more than $5,000. It was quite a bit of money in those days. After 4 or 5 years, Bill had killed so many wolves, there were hardly any left in the area. So he retired, and he vowed never to harm another wolf because wolves had made him rich. I think Bill is short for William, so his name is William. You know who really are the best? Everyone in a certain range of probability. Also true. I have a type. It's usually mean people that are actually very sweet. People who have fallen apart and are on their last string. And goths. Those are my types. Okay, sorry, back to the story. Then, one day, a farmer reported that a white wolf had killed 2 of his sheep. He had shot it, and it hit it, but bullets didn't have any effect. Soon, that wolf was seen all over the countryside, killing and running, but nobody could stop it. One night, it came into Bill's yard and killed his pet cow. Bill forgot about his decision never to harm another wolf. He went into town the next morning, and he bought a young lamb for bait. He took it out into the hills and tied it to a tree. Then, he backed off about 50 yards and sat down under another tree. With his gun in his lap, he waited. When Bill didn't come back, his friends started to look for him. Finally, they found the lamb. It was still tied to a tree. It was hungry, but it was alive. Then they found Bill. He was still sitting against the other tree, but he was dead. His throat had been torn open. There was no sign of a struggle. His gun hadn't been fired. There were no tracks in the soil around him. As for the white wolf, it was never seen again. Bum bum ba ba da ba! Super scary! Scary! Whoa! How I like to tell this story, I'd say, and the white wolf was still out there. Some can say you can still hear it howling. And that was my favorite way to tell it. Is there an artwork for this one? There is! Ooh! Ooh, I loved these. The artworks for these are the things that really stuck with me. I kept coming back and drawing these. Damn it, Loon! Ah! Apparently Loon didn't like that one. One time, a preacher went to see if he could put a haunt to the rest at a house in his settlement. The house had been haunted for about 10 years. Several people had tried to stay there all night, but they always would get scared out by the haunt. So this preacher took his Bible and went to the house. Went on in, built himself a good fire and lit his lamp. Sat there, reading the Bible. Then, just before midnight, he heard something start up in the cellar. Walking back and forth, back and forth. Then, it sounded like somebody was trying to scream and got choked off. Then, there was a lot of thrashing around and struggling. And finally, everything got quiet. The old preacher took up his Bible again. Before he could start reading, he heard footsteps coming up the cellar stairs. He sat, watching the door to the cellar, and the footsteps kept coming closer and closer. He saw the doorknob turn, and when the door began to open, he jumped up and hollered, "What do you want?" The door shut back easily. And there wasn't a sound. Sorry, shut back easy like. I got caught off there. The preacher was trembling a little, but he finally opened the Bible to read a while. And then he got up and laid the book on the chair and went to mending the fire. Then the haunt started walking again, and step, 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 up the cellar stairs. The old preacher sat watching the door, saw the doorknob turn, and the door open. It looked like a young woman. He backed up and said, "Who are you? What do you want?" The haunt sort of swayed, like she didn't know what to do. And then she just faded. The old preacher waited, and when he didn't hear any more noises, he went over and shut the door. He was sweating and trembling all over, but he was a brave man, and he thought he'd been able to see it through. So he turned his chair to where he could watch, and he sat down and waited. It wasn't long before the haunt started up again. Slowly, step, 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 closer and closer, step, step, and it was right at the door. The preacher stood up and held out his Bible in front of him. Then the knob slowly turned and the door opened wide. This time, the preacher spoke quiet. He said, "In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, who are you and what do you want?" The haunt came right across the room, straight to him, and took hold of his coat. It was a young woman, about 20 years old. Her hair was torn and tangled, and the flesh was dripping off her face so you could see the bones and part of her teeth. She had no eyeballs, and there was a sort of blue light way back in her eye sockets. And she had no nose to her face. Then she started talking. It sounded like her voice was coming and going with the wind blowing it. She told how her lover had killed her for her money and buried her in the cellar. She said if the preacher would dig up her bones and bury her properly, she could rest. Then she told him to take the end joint of the little finger from her left hand and to lay it in a collection plate at the next church meeting, and he'd find out who had murdered her. And she said, if you come back here once more after that, you'll hear my voice at midnight, and I'll tell you where my money is hid, and you can give it to the church. The haunt sobbed like she was tired, and she sunk down towards the floor and was gone. The preacher found her bones and buried them in the graveyard. The next Sunday, the preacher put the finger bone in the collection plate, and when a certain man happened to touch it, it struck his hand. The man jumped and rubbed and scraped and tore at the bone, trying to get it off. Then he went to screaming like he was going crazy. Well, he confessed to the murder, and they took him to jail. After the man was hung, the preacher went back to the house one midnight, and the haunt's voice told him to dig under the hearth rock. He did, and he found a big sack of money. And where that haunt had held his coat, the print of those bony fingers was burned right into the cloth. It never did come out. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, that's just what your 20s is like. I think you're right, Shy Boy. That's just what it's kind of like being in your 20s. You just live in the basement, and when you go upstairs and someone yells at you, you just leave. It's like when you go up and your parents are like, "Oh, it's so nice that you're out. Oh, you finally come out. Oh, nice." And you're like, "Oh, fuck you." And you go back to your room. Yeah. Oh, the troll has risen. Ooh. Ooh. So I think we'll keep reading. We'll do about another hour of scary, or not an hour, about another 20 minutes of scary stories. And then we'll take a small break and I'll go get my Switch and we'll play some scary games. That also means I can check on the trick-or-treaters and the candy. Make sure that not all our candy's been stolen. So next we're going to be reading The Guest. A young man and his wife were on a trip to visit his mother. Usually they arrived on time for supper, but they had gotten a late start, and now it was getting dark. So they decided to look for a place to stay overnight and go in the morning. Just off the road, they saw a small house in the woods. Maybe they rent rooms, the wife said, so they stopped to ask. The elderly man and woman came to the door. They didn't rent rooms, they said, but they'd be glad to have them stay overnight as their guests. They had plenty of room, and they would enjoy the company. The old woman made coffee and brought out some cake, and the four of them talked for a while. Then the young couple were taken to their room. They were again explained that they wanted to pay for this, but the old man said he would not accept any money. The young couple got up early the next morning before their host had awakened. On a table near the front door, they left an envelope with some money in it for the room. Then they went on to the next town. They stopped in a restaurant and had breakfast. When they told the owner where they had stayed, he was shocked. "That can't be," he said. "That house burned to the ground, and the man and the woman who lived there died in the fire." The young couple could not believe it, so they went back to the house. Only now there was no house. All they found was a burned-up old shell. They stood staring at the ruins, trying to understand what had happened. Then the woman screamed. In the rubble was a badly burned table, like the one they had seen by the front door. On the table was the envelope they had left that morning. Why are you screaming? Sorry. She saw the envelope and she's like, ah! Like, what? You left it. You left it there. Just take back your money and leave. But they told you they didn't want it. Like, I don't understand. What is that horrifying? It's like we stayed in a burned up building. Oh, God. Ah! Oh, no. Oh, whoa. I don't get it. Ooh. They eat your eyes, they eat your nose.
Boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
Loon! That could have been... I don't know, Shy Boy. There are scary stories about all kinds of things. The ones told here are about a grave, a witch, a man who likes to swim, a hunting trip, and a market basket. There are also ones about worms eating a corpse. Your corpse.
Wow!
The timing! Oh, God! The timing on that was too good! Wow! Okay, the hearse song.
Good job!
Do you ever think, as a hearse goes by, that you may be the next to die? They wrap you up in long white sheet from your head down to your feet. They put you in a big black box and cover you over with dirt and rocks. And all goes well for about a week, and then the coffin begins to leak. What? Whoa! Whoa! Hey! 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 Yo! Whoa! Whoa! I just looked up and saw it petting my boob. I'm calling HRT Sunshine Boy. I'm calling them right now. halfway. Okay, I'm trying to get back to reading. Get canceled. Big old cancel. Jail. And all goes well for about a week, and then the coffin begins to leak. The worms crawl in, the worms crawl out, the worms play piccolo on your snout. They eat your eyes, they eat your nose, they eat the jelly between your toes. A great big worm with rolling eyes crawls in your stomach and out your eyes. Your stomach turns a slimy green and pours out like whipping cream. You spread it on a slice of bread, and that's what you eat when you are dead. Horny jail. Ew. Yucky. Yucky. Oh, Bandit, the stickers are lower down. If you scroll down my page a little bit, you'll find them all at the bottom, underneath all my socials. Yeah. The girl. Ah! Well, Bandit found the fart emoji, the fart sound, so yay. For me. Okay. Some boys and girls were at a party one night. There was a graveyard down the street, and they were talking about how scary it was. Don't ever stand on a grave after dark, one of the boys said. The person inside will grab you, and he'll pull you under. That's not true, one of the girls said. It's just superstition. I'll give you $1 if you stand on a grave, said the boy. A grave doesn't scare me, said the girl. We'll do it right now. The boy handed her his knife. Stick this knife in one of the graves, he said. Then we'll know you were there. The graveyard was filled with shadows, and it was quite as quiet as death. There was nothing to be scared of, the girl told herself, but she was scared anyway. She picked out a grave and stood on it. Then quickly she bent over and plunged the knife into the soil, and she started to leave, but she couldn't get away. Something was holding her back. She tried a second time to leave, but she couldn't move. She was filled with terror. Something has got me, she screamed and fell to the ground. Okay, cool. When she didn't come back, the others went to look for her. They found her body sprawled across the grave. Without realizing, she had plunged the knife through her skirt and had pinned herself to the ground. It was only the knife that had held her, and she had died of fright. Boo! Scary! Ah! Oof. That was another one of my favorites. I really like that one. Also the artwork. It's insane. I love it so much. I love the artwork for this. It makes me so happy. Yeah, it would suck. Dying of fright would suck. Like, they just find you and you killed yourself by accident. Like, ah. Here, guys, give me 1 second. I'm just gonna mute myself for like a sec. We're back. I just needed to drink something. Get something in my throat because I'm talking so much. A new horse. Why am I looking down like that? There we go. That's a bit more me. Okay. A new horse. two farmhands shared a room. After a while, the one who slept near the door began to feel very tired. Early in the day, his friend asked what was wrong. An awful thing happens every night, he said. A witch turns me into a horse and rides me all over the countryside. It's me. I'll sleep in your bed tonight, his friend said. We'll see what happens to me. About midnight, an old woman who lived nearby came into the room. She had mumbled something strange over the farmhand, and he found he couldn't move. She then slipped a bridle on him, and he turned into a horse. The next thing he knew, she was riding him across the fields at breakneck speed, beating him to make him go even faster. Soon they came to a house where a party was going on. She hitched him to a fence and went in. While she was gone, the farmer rubbed against the fence until the bridle came off, and he turned back into a human. Then he went into the house to find the witch. He spoke those strange words over her, and with the bridle he turned her into a horse. And then he rode her to a blacksmith and had her fitted for horseshoes. Ooh! Ooh! After that, he rode her to the farm where she lived. I have a pretty good filly here, he told her husband. But I need a stronger horse. Would you like to trade? The old man looked her over and said he would do it. The farmhand picked out another horse and rode away. Her husband led his new horse to the barn. He took off the bridle and went to hang it up, but when he came back, the new horse was gone. Instead, there stood his wife with horseshoes nailed to her hands and feet. Ah! Ah! Like, I know for horses it's just pretty nail art, but for humans that hurts. That's old sinew. Oh, that poor horse. Excuse me. It scared a burp out of me. Ah! Look at the shoes. That's fun. The human foot. Goat scribble! No! Also, hello, Seth! Yeah, that one wasn't as fun. I didn't enjoy that one as much. Alligators. A young woman in town married a man from another part of the country. He was a nice fellow, and they got along pretty well together. There was only one problem. Every night he'd go swimming in the river. Sometimes he would be gone all night long, and she would complain about how lonely she was. This couple had 2 young sons. As soon as the boys could walk, their father began to teach them how to swim. And when they got to be old enough, he took them swimming in the river every night. Often, they would stay there for all night long, and the young woman would stay home all by herself. After a while, she began to act in a strange way. At least, that is what the neighbors said. She told them that her husband was turning into an alligator, and that he was trying to turn the boys into alligators too. Everybody told her there was nothing wrong with a man taking his son swimming, that it was a natural thing to do. And when it came to alligators, there weren't any nearby. Everybody knew that. Early one morning, the young woman came running into town from the direction of the river. She was soaking wet. She said a big alligator and 2 alligators had pulled her in and had tried to get her to eat raw fish. They were her husband and her sons, she said, and they wanted her to live with them. But she had gotten away. The doctor had decided she had lost her mind and had her put in a hospital for a while. After that, nobody saw her husband and the boys again. They just disappeared. But now and then a fisherman would tell her, "Oh my gosh!" Ah! They just disappeared, but now and then a fisherman would tell them about seeing alligators in the river at night. Usually it was 1 big alligator and 2 small ones. But people said they were just making it up. Everybody knows there aren't alligators around here. Bump, bump, bump. The true scary thing is the people not listening to a woman victim. Ah! Truly terrifying. Fuck. That was just sad. That wasn't scary. It was just depressing. husband's trying to literally drown me and my sons and make us into alligators. Why isn't anyone listening? That's terrifying. Room for one more. A man named Joseph Blackwell came to Philadelphia on a business trip. He stayed with friends in a big house they owned outside the city. That night, they had a good time visiting, but when Blackwell went to bed, he tossed and turned and couldn't sleep. Sometime during the night, he heard a car turn in the driveway. He went to the window to see who was arriving on such a late hour. In the moonlight, he saw a long, black hearse filled with people. The driver of the hearse looked up at him. When Blackwell saw his queer, hideous face, "It's me. I'm the queer with the hideous face. Sorry. I'm sorry." Sorry, we'll get back to it. These are all their stories. He shuddered. The driver called to him. "There is room for one more." And then he waited for a minute or two, and he drove off. In the morning, Blackwell, what? Just like me for real! Oh, man, I love older stories and them making me randomly say slurs. It's great. Fantastic. I'm thrilled. In the morning, Blackwell told his friend what happened. "You were dreaming," they said. "I must have been," he said, "but it didn't seem like a dream." After breakfast, he went to Philadelphia. He spent the day high above the city in one of the new office buildings there. Late in the afternoon, he was waiting for an elevator to take him back down to the street. But when it arrived, he was very crowded. One of the passengers looked out and called to him. "There is room for one more," he said. It was the driver of the hearse. "No thanks," said Blackwell. "I'll get the next one." The door closed and the elevator started down. There was a shrieking and screaming, and then the sound of a crash. The elevator had fallen to the bottom of the shaft. Everyone aboard was killed. Bum, bum, bum! Scary! Woo! It was the driver of the hearse. He was driving the thing. The queer line.
Nani?
Me. I couldn't help myself. Oh, I don't know if I'll read this one. No. I'm not about appropriating culture. Yeah, let's avoid appropriating culture if we can. Ooh, this scary story is a game people play on Halloween, but it can be played whenever the spirit moves you. The players sit in a circle in a darkened room and listen to the storyteller describe a rotting remains of a corpse. Each part is passed around for them to feel. In one version, a player is out if he or she screams or gasps with fright. In another version, everybody stays till the end, no matter how scared they get. Here's the story. Once in this town, there lived a man named Brown. It was years ago on this night that he murdered one out of spite. We have here his remains. First, let's feel his brains. Now here are his eyes, still frozen with surprise. This is his nose, and here is his ear. And here is his hand, rotted flesh and bone. But his hair still grows, and his heart still beats, now and then. And his blood still flows. Dip your fingers in it, it's nice and warm. That's all there is, except for the worms. They're the ones that ate the rest of him. That's silly. That one's silly. Yeah, he was death probably. May I carry your basket? Sam Lewis spent the evening playing chess at his friend's house. It was about midnight when he finished their game and started home. Outside, it was icy cold and quiet as the grave. As he came around to turn in the road, he was surprised to see a woman walking ahead of him. She was carrying a basket covered with a white cloth. When he caught up to her, he looked to see who it was, but she was so bundled up against the cold it was hard to see her face. "Good evening," Sam said. "What brings you out so late?" But she didn't answer. Then he said, "May I carry your basket?" She handed it to him. From under the cloth, a small voice said, "That's very nice of you." And that was followed by wild laughter. Sam was so startled that he dropped the basket, and out rolled a woman's head. He looked at the head, and then he stared at the woman. "It's her head!" he cried, and he started to run, and the woman and her head began to chase him. Soon the head caught up to him. It bounded into the air and sunk its teeth into his left leg. Sam screamed with pain and ran faster. But the woman and her head stayed right behind him. Soon the head leaped into the air again and bit onto his other leg. Then they were gone. So no head? Yeah. Catsup. Like, he's just running and this leg is like biting onto him, so he's just running and the head is just going with him. Other dangers. Oh, the classic, the hook. I think everyone's heard the hook. Donald and Sarah went to the movies. Then they went for a ride in Donald's car. They parked up the hill at the edge of town from where they could see the lights up on and down the valley. Donald turned onto the road and found some music. But an announcer broke in with a news bulletin. A murderer has escaped from the state prison. He was armed with a knife, and he was headed south on foot. His left hand was missing. In its place, he wore a hook. Yes! Hook hand man car door! Yeah. Don't worry, Loon, I'm telling it right now. "Let's roll up the windows and lock the doors," said Sarah. "That's a good idea," said Donald. "The prison isn't too far away," said Sarah. "Maybe we should just go home." "But it's only 10 o'clock, said Donald. "I don't care what time it is," she said. "I want to go home." "Look, Sarah," said Donald's a dick. I think his name's Donald? I don't fucking know. It's Donald right now. That's how I'm gonna fucking read it, so. He's not going to climb all the way up here. Why would he do that? Even if he did, all the doors are locked. How would he get in? Donald, he could take that hook and break through the window and open the door. I'm scared. I want to go home. Donald was annoyed. Girls are always afraid of something, he said. As he started the car, Sarah thought she heard someone or something scratching at her door. "Did you hear that?" she asked as they roared away. "It sounded like somebody was trying to get in." "Oh, sure," said Donald. Soon they got to her house. "Would you like to come in and have some coca?" she asked. "No," he said. "I've got to go home." He went around to the other side of the car and let her out. Hanging on the door was a hook. The timing was a hook. Hook hand man door. Door hand man knock. Lock door hand man. It's like the classic tall tale, the most classic tall tale of them all. Everyone's heard of this one. It's kind of like the scary story to end scary stories, right? It was really popular. Oh, it was really, really popular in the 80s. The white satin evening gown. Oh, welcome back. Yeah, I see that there was an error here as well on my end. I just had a network error as well. But it looks like we're back. We had a fart right as I was finishing the story. It was very well timed. A young man invited a young woman to a formal dance, but she was very poor. And she could not afford to buy an evening gown she needed for such an occasion. Maybe you can rent a dress, her mother said. So she went to a pawn shop not far from where she lived. There she found a white satin evening gown in her size. She looked lovely in it, and she was able to rent it for very little. When she arrived at the dance with her friend, she was so attractive everyone wanted to meet her. She danced again and again and was having a wonderful time, but then she began to feel dizzy and faint, and she asked her friend to take her home. I think I have danced too much, she told him. When she got home, she lay down in her bed. The next morning, the mother had found that her daughter had died. The doctor did not understand what had caused her death, so he had the coroner perform an autopsy. The coroner found that she had been poisoned by embalming fluid. It had stopped her blood from flowing. There were traces of fluid on her dress. He decided it had entered her skin, where when she perspired when she was dancing. The pawnbroker said he had bought the dress from an undertaker's helper. It had been used in a funeral for another young woman, and the helper had stolen it just before she was buried. Amazing timing! Hi, Beams. Oh! Oh no! We're gonna take a break! We're gonna take a small break, and when I come back, we're gonna play a little bit of Little Nightmares for our Halloween stream. So you guys give me like 5 minutes, and we will be right back. All right, see you guys soon. Don't you guys go anywhere. Happy Halloween. Go check your candy. Go check your tricks. And I'll see everybody really, really soon. Ciao for now.